Hi, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, man. Yeah, good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good as well. Thanks so much for asking. What's your name?
My name is Bacon. I'm from Australia. Nice to meet you. How about you?
It's nice to meet you. I'm Richard and I'm from Brazil.
Right, Richard from Brazil. Awesome.
Exactly.
Right.
And how long have you been here in Cambly for?
How long have I been here?
Yeah,
Well, actually, it's been about 5 years now, I think. It's
five
been a
years?
Yes, it's been a long time, but
Yeah,
yeah, but well, sometimes I have to sort of like not have so much time on Cambly because I'm actually a marketing manager, so I do not have
that's great.
all the time, you see.
I see. That's so interesting. I've been here in Cambly for a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
And yes, and actually I love Cambly
Yeah,
because it's a great platform to practice my English with tutors, and that's
right.
really awesome. And when I saw your profile, I
Yeah.
could tell that you speak lots of languages. That's so interesting.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't dare to say I speak a lot of languages, but yes, I do speak some languages. And for example, I don't speak Portuguese, you see. I
Yeah,
wish I could, but maybe not in the plan yet.
and that's great. And what was your journey like to learning how to speak so many languages? Did you
Uh,
study at a at a private language school or anything like that?
right. Yeah, thanks for asking. If you don't mind, I'll share a little bit.
No?
So you see, obviously English is my first language, but for other languages that I've learned, has been a combination of me studying in school, for example, and
Okay.
also that I obviously have to kind of study it privately by myself and all that. And I think you, as you may know, because you also have to learn other languages like English, for example,
Yeah.
you should know that then you start to pick up some information from online, from the
Yeah.
internet, and then you also perhaps buy some books and textbooks or anything to study. And of course, then maybe you would use some services like this to have someone to help you with that. And
That's
and
great.
I actually did that exactly. I did that exactly. Um, for example, my Japanese, I have some
Yeah.
friends to help me with that, and of
Mm.
course, then I would also have textbooks just right beside here and all that, so to help me. And then I try to practice sometimes before I go to shower in the morning. Sometimes I will study a little bit of what I have learned before. Yeah, that's kind of thing. It has been very fun, I have to say.
That's great. The reason why I ask you that because, as we are language students, we know how hard it is, to become fluent in a
Right.
specific language, right?
Yep.
And I've been going through a hard time, with English, especially because
Okay.
I've been learning phrasal verbs and slang and
Right.
also expressions.
Yep.
So that's so interesting, to know that you know how to speak more than two languages. So you are
Yep.
fluent in English is your first language, right?
Yes, exactly.
Japanese, can you speak it fluently?
Right. I would say if we were to categorize the level
Yeah.
of my language proficiency, I would say that currently, obviously, English is the first language, but I
Okay.
would say that my Mandarin, as in Chinese, would be at the same level as my English right now. And
Really? How
yes,
come?
I would say so because well, it's here's the thing. There's a word called bilingual, right? So
Yeah.
I am bilingual in English and Mandarin. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Well,
great to know.
yes.
So,
Mhm.
so I was going to say, so did you grow up speaking both languages, English and at the same time Chinese,
Right.
Mandarin, right?
I would say that for Mandarin, I didn't pick up at at the same time as English, but it was close enough. I would say it's close enough when I started
I see.
Mandarin. So I think that definitely helps. I learned Mandarin when I was a very little kid, so I think that helps as well. And as for Japanese, I would say my Japanese is right after this. So it's
I see.
English, Mandarin, and then Japanese and also Malay or Indonesian kind of thing.
I see. That's so interesting. You know, I would love to take my English to the next level,
Sure.
and I'd like to, you know, to let my English like, you know, close to my native language, Portuguese.
Okay, correct.
So that's why I've been studying so hard English and as well as Spanish. So my
Oh,
third language
Spanish.
is Spanish. Yeah, it's awesome. Do you have interest in learning Spanish?
Oh yes, definitely. In fact, I could tell you my plan. Some of the languages that I plan to like ultimately learn in my life. In fact, I don't give the whole life. I need to learn that if possible. Um, Around when I'm like 35 or something. I hope that I could learn when I reach around that kind of age.
Yeah.
But yes, obviously English and Mandarin, which are the two that I've already know. But I
Yeah.
also plan to get all these other languages to the same level as English, which are Japanese, Korean, Russian, and French and Spanish.
That's great. That's awesome. You know, you already know two languages that I'd like to learn. Those are English, yes, I've been studying English, and also Mandarin,
Oh,
because
yeah,
Mandarin is so, you know, it's so requested and so required.
yeah,
So it'll
required.
be awesome. Yeah, required, and it'll be awesome to learn it. So, how
Correct.
Mandarin has helped you through your life?
Right. Actually, it had helped me in a very big way. Trust me. Because a lot of people speak Mandarin in a lot of places. Obviously,
Yeah.
maybe it's more common in the other side of your world because you're in South America and America, so
Yeah.
one side of the world. But the other side of the world, as in Asia Pacific and like Asia and all that, there are lots of people speaking Mandarin. So, and sometimes obviously because of how I look, which is Asian, obviously, some people would assume that I'm Chinese or something. And
Yeah.
so when they talk to me, then I understand what they're saying, and that's actually pretty cool. And I still remember about 3 to 4 years ago when that was my first time going to China, and then
Okay.
I was in Beijing, and then was going around with some of my friends, and we go to like this kind of club area, bar area, and yeah, there
Okay.
were some bartenders and all that trying to talk to us outside of the shop, but they couldn't because we were talking in English. So in the end, I just changed it to Mandarin and I talked to them, and then they got very excited. They
That's
have a
great.
supervisor coming out and all that, and then in the end they offer us free tables and free beers and everything, and then just ask us to come in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, see.
That's
So,
awesome.
and it's
You
all
know,
because I can speak Chinese. So you see.
that's so interesting that you said that because I read a quote. It said,
Mhm.
if you want to talk to a person and achieve his mind, talk in a second language. But if you want to achieve the heart of a person, you talk in his native language.
Right.
So, for example, talking to you in English, it's completely different, right?
Exactly. And by the way, the word
Eh,
quote, make sure it's a bit clear.
quote. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Quote.
Instead of like
Quote.
quote, it's more like quote.
Quote. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, I
Thanks so
mean,
much.
now that we touch on this, I think one way that you can sometimes help with you learning English is that always try to visualize the sound that you are learning. For example, when I explain the word quote, you see I do this, right? I
Yeah,
show you like
yeah,
how you go down a little bit and then you go up again. So you try to
yeah,
visualize the sound so it helps you with pronouncing words correctly sometimes.
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like practicing my pronunciation because I think it's really important,
No.
right?
I mean, have you been
And
doing what's your work or your study that would allows you to speak English more? Do you have that?
okay, so at work, actually, I don't have to use my English. So I study English because I really like it. I
Yep.
love it,
Awesome.
actually, and because it's really required, around the world. Everyone knows that.
Yep.
And what else? Because everything is in English. So, and when I started studying English in a private English school, I was like, okay, I have to study this, but I think it's boring. But eventually I became so interested in learning
Yep.
English, and I was like, oh, that's great. Let's keep on studying it and let's learn more languages.
Yep. Yep.
I cannot tell you whether it's only English or not, or for example, if I love learning all kind of languages,
Yep.
because yes, I started studying Spanish, but I've been giving preference to English
Yep. Okay.
because I don't want to mix both,
Yeah.
I don't want to mess them up. I want to focus on English first
Yep.
to achieve a great level, and then I can focus on Spanish.
Yes, you can
Eventually,
definitely do that. Because when you're more
Exactly.
focused on something, then you can spend more time and all that. You're not wrong. I would say that is correct. And if you really like English so much, which by the way, just to give you some encouragement, I don't think your English level is bad at all. Okay, your English level is
Thank you.
great. All right. So you need to
Thanks so
push
much.
more because I know you're trying to go for that level there. The native level, which I would say it's not easy for any languages.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible, and it's definitely doable. It's definitely doable. And you see, right now I'm trying to hope that my Japanese would reach that level. And I know that sometimes maybe we get tired learning a language or things like that. It's difficult, but you still have to press on. You have to just do it. And
Oh, thank you.
and
Thank
I
you for
think
this
for
advice.
English, have you been using the language a lot?
Yes, I have. I've been here on Cambly a lot, as I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like talking to people, on Skype,
Awesome.
on the internet, to discuss topics about a lot of things. So I love reading the news.
Yep.
I like to know about what's going on in the world
Right.
and to have more things to talk about,
Right.
So yeah, I'm on my way to to
Right.
learn English.
Would you say that you are always talking about the same thing, or you are always talking about different things?
No, I tend to talk about different topics, because I think that's the best way to become fluent
Yep.
and to have some variety of
Yep.
words and topics,
Yep.
right, to talk about. So most of the times I read something on the internet and I try to discuss it on Cambly, to have some opinions about this topic. So yeah, I have some variety of things that I do here.
Right. You're absolutely correct. I mean, if you haven't been doing that, I would already recommend you to do these things because this is exactly how you should be doing. And one thing that I would definitely suggest you to do is that
Okay.
maybe you have to make sure that you trace your own answers or your own response every time. So what do I mean by that is that, for example, if I ask you, why do you like the color red, for example, right? If I ask you a question,
Okay.
why do you like the color red? Of course, you can give me all types of answers, right? But what I'm trying to say is that I want you to see if you're able to give different kinds of answers at different times. For example, you can tell me, I like the color red because it looks like a Pokeball, right? It looks like a Pokeball, so I
I
love
see.
it, right? You can say something
Okay.
simple like this, or you can change. You can say, I like the color red because it embodies the elements of bravery, boldness, and also it has this
Mm,
aggressive tone to the color that is just not being able to carry out from the colors such as the likes of blue and white. And you can say red color is more striking and it catches people's attention and it's perhaps something that I personally like to do and it fits with my personality. See, two things,
I
two
see.
description, all right, for the same question,
Oh,
but you describe things or you express things in a different way, or I would say richer, All right, it's in a richer way.
That's great. That's a great advice. You know, with only a word, you can bring up so many topics, so many things, right?
Yeah,
So that's great.
yeah,
Yes, I will try it out
yeah.
for sure.
Exactly, to make things richer. Because you see, when you're making things richer, it is the time where you have to challenge your own understanding. Because if you don't know how to say it, you cannot say it, even if you want to say
Yeah.
it, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, try to expand the way you would like to talk about things and all that, and then see how you're able to meet a dead end. If you meet a dead end, then you know something is not right and you might want to improve something.
Yes, that's great. And I could tell, as you said a lot of things, the way you related things, you know, through your communication, that's really great. For example, read, for example, talking about bravery
Mhm.
and things like that, talking about in a specific subject,
Yep.
for example, that's really great. Yes, I will study that kind of study.
Yeah,
That's great.
definitely do that. And in fact, sometimes the benefit of that is that you would, for example, if you would want to describe something, but suddenly you realize, oh, I can't say that in English because you forgot how to say that, or you don't know how to say that at all. But sometimes you will even come across a situation where you think, oh, you want to say that, but when you think how you say that in Portuguese, you realize you never think of that in Portuguese. You don't even know how to say that in
Yeah,
Portuguese. So
yeah,
so when that happens,
that's
then you
great.
know you're learning new things, even in Portuguese. So I just don't see how you would lose anything. It's all benefit, you see. Like, even if it's something that you already know in Portuguese, then you would be improving that in English. Then sometimes you will have things that you don't even know in Portuguese, so you improve both ways. So it's pretty good.
Exactly. Most of the time, I say that I've been learning so many words, even in my first language, Portuguese, because most of the time when I watch a TV show, I have to look a lot of words up in the dictionary on the internet,
Right.
and that's great. For example, that is a cognate word. So, oh, in Portuguese, I can use in that way. So that's interesting. That's great. I
Exactly.
can improve both languages,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's
And
awesome.
sometimes I think it helps you in a way that because you understand both the languages, you know how sometimes you use the language in this way, sometimes you use it in that way, and I would say that that would improve your understanding on the overall language as well, and which is something that I felt that I managed to do so. So I'm pretty sure you could do the same
Yeah.
with Portuguese.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to ask you something because my listening skills in English, I can understand almost 95% of what you
Okay.
say. But sometimes when I try to speak something, I feel stuck.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So, what would you suggest
Right.
me to
Yeah,
practice?
I mean, of course, first of all, I would definitely tell you that this is normal. The fact that you think
Mhm.
you can listen better and that you cannot speak as the same thing is
Yeah,
very
as
normal.
yeah.
At least I should say that, because when you're trying to talk or you try to use it, it involves the process of creation. You have to make something
Yeah,
out of it. It's not like listening, because
yeah.
listening is to sort of verify information. You verify the thing that you
Yeah.
listen with what you already know.
I'm just receiving the information, right?
Exactly. But when you're
Yeah.
using it, you have to create that. So if you are not very sure or you're not very familiar with the things, then unfortunately sometimes you will have problem with that. So I think one very simple way, okay, not to talk about crazy stuff first, but a very simple way to
Okay.
do it is to, unfortunately, I think there are no other ways, but a very simple basic way is to imitate. Imitate as in
Imitate.
copy, right? Unfortunately, you have to do
Okay.
something like that. So, for example, sometimes when you are watching a show or when you are reading a book, sorry, yeah, reading a book or watching a show is better because when you listen or you see other people do something and you follow them, that's it. you know, and because sometimes we remember things better in that way as well. When we have a reference,
I see.
right? When we have a reference, we know
Oh,
better.
yeah.
So, for example, like just now when I talk about the red color, right? And then I say, I say something like, "Oh, the red, it's a bowl. See, it's bowl." And then I do this thing, and then I emphasize the word like that. If you follow what I just did, and then you say, "Oh, bowl," and then so maybe next time when you talk with other people, maybe you would use the same
Okay.
way. You would be like, I like red color because it's bowl. See, um, but
Okay.
you remember better. Every time when you talk about the word bowl, you remember about this. Maybe you don't remember about me, but you remember this and the
Yeah.
tone and the sound and the expression. So that's how you remember the word. So the same thing with sentences or even a description, right? That's how you learn from like a movie,
Okay.
for example.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting that it said about, for example, creation, because when I'm talking about a certain topic, like, giving examples, showing what I'm talking about, I, I like being
Yep.
understood. So most of the time I use gesture as well. And that's so interesting, but it was a great piece of
Yeah.
advice that
I
you
mean,
gave
I hope
me.
that I don't have a
Thanks so
lot of
much.
time to explain too many things, but I hope that these things would still help you, Richard.
Yeah, of course. It helped me so much. Thanks so much. Okay. Let's talk again
Yeah,
another
sure
time.
thing. I
Okay.
mean, as long as I'm still out here. Okay. Well, have a good
Thanks
day.
so
I hope
much.
everything works well. See ya.
Thanks so much. You too. Have a great day. Bye.